they'd take the rock. Oh, wait. Come on. Don't be like that. Okay, fine. Fine, I'll turn it off. Yeah, so I think that's a mine up there. There's a goat. That's cool. Oh, there's the stamper battery right there. So this behind me is the Lord Brassey stamper battery. It would have been used to process gold ore. I don't know what the era was, but how it works was there would have been a pond they would have constructed some, dozens or maybe 100 meters uphill to retain water, and that water retainment would have created potential head. It would have channeled the water down the hill in a race. That water would have been diverted to this area in this pipe. You can see the pipe here emits, and regulated by this gate valve. They'd open the valve, the water would drive this water wheel, which would turn this shaft. Oh shit. Ow. The shaft would have been connected by these pulleys, by a belt of some sort, probably, I'm guessing, to that pulley. The shaft on that pulley would have driven these cams and these stampers, and ore would have been loaded into these crushing chambers here. The ore would have been reduced to whatever size, and then from that, I think they had some sort of there's different techniques they'd used over time, but they had carpets that would collect the dust, and they would extract the gold via that way. These bowls here would have had some kind of metal weight sitting in them, and that would crush the ore further. I know they'd used chemical processing, like, I don't know if they did it here, but like cyanide was often used, as well as mercury. The gold and the mercury would create an amalgam, and then they'd burn the mercury off in a little crucible, a chamber. The mercury would be vented off as a gas, which was extremely toxic for the workers at the time, which they probably didn't know, and what you'd be left with was the refined gold. So pretty cool. Here we have a Russian woman of questionable character. Her name's Yulia. Say hi, Yulia.
Hi.
Oh, she didn't like that. Yeah, it's pretty amazing though. I like this kind of stuff, Yulia. So. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how old it is though. Like, the timber is still in pretty good shape. So I don't know. They haven't used these for a long time, like 100 years, or I don't know how long exactly, but. And this is what they used to extract. Quartz, which can be gold bearing. It's kind of funny though. All that effort and energy and impact for a little rock. Funny creatures. Yulia raised an interesting point about how they should have ideally disassembled this structure and not left a big fucking mess, which is what they did. I find it interesting, but I was explaining that there's really very few people that became wealthy from this process. Sometimes the mine owners, the mine bosses, they made decent money, and some became extraordinarily wealthy, but the guys doing the work, usually they're just peasants. They have no other option. They're doing the dirtiest, hardest, most dangerous work, so they're often making just enough to feed their family, which is going to be their focus. Yeah. Back then, they didn't necessarily have the regulation that they do now. But the industry now is a product of these kind of operating environments, and that's why we have like rehabilitation rules, and you have to have a rehabilitation plan if you have an extractor site, for example. So, yeah, a little history. You can actually get an immense amount of energy from just a fairly minimal amount of head from the water. So even like I was at a site like this, and even I think 10 meters elevation change, the water was coming out of this area like a cannon. It was used to sluice, to erode riverbanks to a very effective degree. Hi. Another point I find really amazing is that all of this gear would have been transported into here either by human power or by horse. We're on the west coast of New Zealand, a few miles outside of Reefton, but they created a track, an old miner's road to get it into here, but still just the effort that these people would have had to put in for, you know, what is actually uncertain profitability is incredible. The old winch cable, it's like where? Yeah, did you see that? Like that bucket there still has rocks in it. Like, it's like they would have just stopped working, like just abruptly, suddenly, the mine would have just shut down. I see something over there too. Thank you. See, I was running away. Okay, I'll turn it off. Fine. It's off. Clearly, I'm lying, but.
Yeah, I know it.
Here are the cables supporting those buckets. Oh, beautiful. So we did find out the Lord Brassey Stamper Battery is where they crushed the quartz from the Kirwans reward mine here. So they transported it by a aerial sort of tramway down to the valley below. We also found out why the Stamper Battery was in such good condition. It was actually restored by DOC not that long ago. So that totally makes sense. Otherwise it would have been in pretty severe disrepair, as you can see here. That is cool.